Welcome, one and all, to the big show. It's the Friday night show, which we did on Sunday last week. The Horror Syndicate up all night. Seth will be joining me momentarily, but I wanted to give a real quick shout out to Sean Sheridan for being always the first one to comment for this show. Thank you, Sean, for following us on the YouTube. And you should all, take a page out of Sean's book and subscribe to the YouTube channel, where you can find all of our past shows from the Horror Syndicate Discourse to the Horror Syndicate Lives, an old show with me, Jared, Brian Enright, and Mike Lombardo from I'm Dreaming of White Doomsday, and some dumb videos I tried to make. And Seth did a top 23 John Carpenter film list, like worst to best, which in his opinion, there are no bad John Carpenter movies, which is a good opinion to have. Also, if you are on YouTube watching, please head over to Facebook, and your voice will be heard and on Facebook when we do our 5-star ratings. Anyway, I'm going to bring Seth in, and we're going to get talking about one of the worst looking Jasons of all time. And I want to know your opinion, and we'll bring Sean's his comment up as soon as Seth joins us. But yeah, we are talking about Jason Goes to Fucking Hell, which is what it should have been called. So. Well, Seth, how did you fare on Jason Goes to Hell? that good, huh? He's speechless.
Yeah. Well, the thing with this movie for me is that it's not one that I watch a lot. I don't really go to the New Line Jason movies very often at all.
Neither do I.
I usually stick with like the first 7 of the Paramount movies, and the 09 film, which is a joint effort between New Line and Paramount. But and I think it's and I've told you this before, as a Friday the 13th movie, it's terrible. But as a body horror movie, it's kind of fun. So like when I do, like, I don't watch it often. I don't think it's great at all. It's got a lot of issues, but it's one that I can watch, and I kind of have fun with when I do watch it, for various reasons, which we'll get into.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot to take in. This movie came out when I was 13. So this was the first one I ever got to see on the big screen. Technically, it's the second one, because my mom took me to see the original in 1980 when I was 2 weeks old. But like, I'm going to remember that. So she wanted to take me to see this one because it was like, oh, this is going to be the last one, blah, blah, blah. Little did she know that there'd be a remake, space opera, and Freddy vs. Jason, which she did get to partake in that, which was cool. So yeah, speaking of, after this episode's over, we'll be going into the last 3, and the next one up is Jason X. What a shitty movie. That's my least favorite. With Jason Goes to Hell. A lot of people, I think, badmouth Adam Marcus, but he was basically hired to do a job, and he did his job.
Yeah.
And he didn't write it, and Sean Cunningham, said he wanted to get rid of that damn hockey mask, and they did for the most part. After they blow his ass up, after looking like, a swollen, bloated turd. But did you know that one of the writers of the screenplay actually played a part in the movie, and he's the one that flipped Jason off and said he'd like to take a big mango-sized dump on his mask? That's one of the writers.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. I didn't know that till today. But let's do these comments real fast. Sean, chimed in right away. He says, I think better than half the franchise. It's a bad movie and too far out, but after the 8 movies, the same crap. It's nice to see a little body horror. Yeah, good point. Good point. Worst Jason, yes. Worst look. Well, that'll. I can't wait to do our Friday the 13th rankings episodes. Trying to do a Tiny Evil Dead, yes. My kids saw that for the first time today. They're like, oh, come on. So yeah, horribly underrated. Very much like the Hidden Great Kills and some nudity, yes. I don't know if it's underrated though. That movie was a masterpiece, and Kane Hodder did good on sets. Jason's nothing but a big old pussy. Not the best Jason movie, not at all. And our first poop emoji, fantastic. And keep them coming. We love comments, don't we, Seth? We love talking about these movies and all these movies. And another reminder is we're going to be doing Elm Street after this. If we and we're talking about moving to Sunday nights, and I wanted to ask everybody out there, do you like the show on Friday? Because Fridays, you date night, you can go out and get your drink on, or you can get your drink on with us. Or Sunday night when everybody's relaxing, turn on YouTube, turn on the phone or whatever device you're using, and watch Ray and Seth. Let us know if you'd rather be Sunday or Friday. It's up in the air right now. Yes, Creighton Duke is probably one of the best additions to the series, and we will get into Creighton Duke for sure. Stephen Williams, he's awesome in everything he does. But anyway, so there's a couple things I wanted to jump off with this one. And first of all, I want to talk about, first of all, why didn't we get the chrome mask? Like that, they showed this in the posters and everything. I was like, man, that's cool looking. We never got a chrome mask until Jason X. But I want to say the opening scene. And I want to get your opinion on this, Seth, and everybody else's opinion out there. The opening scene when the FBI agent, which we didn't know she was getting to the camp, the cabin, doing all this stuff, took her top off and getting ready to get in the tub, and the lights go out and she runs away. And one of the best towels of all time, because that did not come off at all, and she wasn't really holding it. But like, I'm watching that scene today, and I'm looking at it, I was like, well, that's a damn good Friday the 13th scene, if you think about it, up until the point where they blow Jason up. But like the cabin, the way it's shot, the light bulb part, I mean, that was really shot really well, and it was a good Friday the 13th scene. And it sets the movie up for failure because the rest of the movie isn't great. What do you think about that scene?
Yeah, I like that scene. I think it opens up well. Teenage me like that scene a lot.
Yeah. 43-year-old Ray likes that scene. Well, I'm not 42 yet. Not yet, but I'm getting there. This is like Season of the Witch panned by the fans in the Daystar. Well, I think Part 5 is more like Season of the Witch, if we're gonna go that route, because fans are really coming around on Part 5 more than Jason Goes to Hell, because there's still a big cross section of fans who do not like this movie. But I came across a Facebook that's got like 8,000 followers for Jason Goes to Hell, and for some reason, nobody's hitting the like button yet. We have one person who's liked this post. We got to get some likes on here. Otherwise, we can't keep going. It's Sheldon Adams hit the like button for us. Thank you. But no, what I was going to say is they're making a fucking documentary about the making of this movie, and I'm so confused by that, because who cares? We saw enough in what's that? Crystal Lake Memories, right? We didn't need to see a bunch more about this. I mean, I like Adam Marcus as a person. He's actually a great guy, and he remembered me when I met him at the convention a couple years ago, and I've chatted with him a couple times. He's a really good, nice guy. We talked about that last week if you want to check out that episode. But anyway, yeah. So let's get into the story. We know the story of Jason Goes to Hell, right, Seth? Jason, they blow his ass up at the beginning of the movie. The coroner takes a big bite out of his heart, his black heart, the dark heart of Jason Voorhees. And of course, he, I guess, is possessed by Jason, and we go from there. He body jumps. And there's some great scenes in this movie, some great kills. And really, that's where I want to start, though, is some of the kills in this movie. Like, do you have a standout kill in this one?
I like a couple in here, but I think probably the one that I like the most is the tent one.
With the tent pole?
Yeah.
Or whatever that thing is. Yeah. That's probably the best one. I mean, they're getting it on, and this is just a metaphor for the series. Really, is the whole you have sex, you're dead, and uh, the way that the brutality in that scene is so good. But there's one that I like a little bit better, and it's not really a Jason kill. It's when the cop melts after he was possessed by Jason. I watched that very closely today because I talked about how good the effects are in this because they are good. Whether or not you like Jason's makeup, because it looks terrible, I'll show it again because I fucking hate it. But it's still, I mean, that's still good makeup work. It's just that's what they wanted it to look like. But the melting effects they had on the Josh, the cop, were so grotesque and honestly, I think they could be for some people vomit inducing. I mean, like his jaw falls to the ground and it's stuck on the ground. He's like, and just melting away. I really like that scene. It's shot well and the effect is great.
I think that's the strongest thing with this movie is the kills and the effects.
Yeah, I agree with that.
Those are like the appeal for me for when I do rewatch this one. It is those two aspects of it that I mean, obviously I like some of the characters too a little bit, but the kills and the effects are by far the best thing about this movie.
Roy was under control of Jason in 5. Fun theory for that. Okay. Hey Frankie, what's up, man? If you guys haven't been over to Barlow's Boutique, check it out on Facebook and subscribe to the channel here on YouTube as well. The tent kill is probably the best, but I really do like that body melt. You talk about body horror, that's the thing. Yeah, so let's talk about these problems. What are your big issues? And I'll comment along with you with Jason Goes to Hell.
Well, let's see here.
Where do I begin?
Yeah. Well, the whole possession thing. There's no explanation for why someone was compelled to take his heart and eat it. So really, it's a story issue because you have the whole possession, body jumping, demon thing going on. All of a sudden, Jason has like a half sister. There's suddenly this rule about
like
only a Voorhees can kill a Voorhees. Yeah. Just I mean, even like the idea of Creighton Duke, where it's kind of like almost implied that he's been hunting Jason like for a long time, and yeah, it's the first time we've seen this character.
I know. It's like one of my questions about Creighton Duke, and it's not really a question. It's like in Sean Cunningham's mind, or whoever wrote this' mind, was like, you don't give that much backstory to Creighton Duke, yet he knows everything, But sorry, I didn't mean to throw you off. Go ahead and keep going.
Well, I mean, that's the thing, though. Is like I kind of accept that one because Creighton Duke is an awesome character.
Yeah.
And Stephen Williams is a great actor.
Absolutely.
He has a lot of personality. He brings a lot of personality to his characters. I do wish that he had a better death scene in this.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Because they were building up and it just built up to nothing. Some other things. Some other things that bother me about this is sorry, I lost my train of thought for a minute.
That's okay. It's easy to do with this movie, losing your train of thought.
Yeah, it's funny because it's on the tip of my tongue what I was going to say.
I mean, there's so much about this movie though that we need to like talk about, but it's damn near impossible because it's just a lot of it's just fucking ridiculous, But did you figure it out yet?
Yeah,
because
it was
okay. Go ahead.
The whole stupidity of Jason being reborn out of his sister's Vijay
Or
with the
who?
mask on. Like, I mean, the mask was just an object that he found in like part 3.
Yeah. Thanks, Shelley. Um, although this is kind of a separate thing from those movies, unfortunately. But yeah, Frankie, he's like, was he supposed to be a Deadite? I mean, the Book of the Dead's there. So from Evil Dead, and it's legit the same Book of the Dead, the Necronomicon Ex Mortis, is there, present and accounted for. Steven looks at it. And the dagger that she used was that, I'm not 100% sure, was that the Kandarian dagger from Evil Dead, or was that a different one?
I thought it was, but I could be wrong on that because
Yeah,
I know the same crew. I think it was a KMB. They were working on Army of
Army of Darkness,
Darkness.
yeah. I
Um,
mean, really, it's just, yeah, what do they call it? Easter eggs, Reggie the Reckless is Creighton Duke. I like that. That's a good theory. Oh, I love it. Yes.
good one, Denial.
Yeah. He's a badass now. It'd be funny if when he was getting his back cracked by Jason, if he screamed like Reggie the Reckless did.
Yeah.
Can you imagine that scream coming out of him?
Yeah.
I like that. That's a good theory. Yeah, let's see. It could work based on the timeline. Anyway, yeah, I mean, there are a lot of problems with this movie and a lot of convenient new things of Voorhees' house, his sister. It's like, so the questions come up like, it's just like Freddy's Dead, man. This is Freddy's Dead of this series, because Jason's all of a sudden got a sister. There's that house, and Freddy's daughter killed Freddy, and then Jason's niece kills him.
Yeah.
So it's just, that must have been a cliche thing in the 90s, because that's I don't think that's the last time in horror we get this. But like, it's like even my daughter, who'd never seen Jason Goes to Hell until today, she was like, why do they always do this in horror movies? There's always got to be a family member. And I'm like, wow, you're 9 years old, and I got respect, And
Yeah.
I hate that trope. Yeah, everybody's bringing up the Evil Dead connection. Yeah, I really do hate that trope. But yeah, KMB did do a good job in the effects. You just mentioned that, but anyway, the story. I mean, there's a few things about the movie that I thought were fun. Like Steven's character overall. You see him; he's kind of a nerdy guy. He turns down sex. I mean, guaranteed sex with that redheaded girl with the small little boobies. And then, I mean, he was going to get some if he would have just gone along. Why not, man? But he's longing for what's her name, Jessica.
Well, it saved his life in the end by not having sex.
Yeah, and he got to get a lot. He was like the main character of this movie, and he's a character that in my opinion, I like Steven quite a bit. He goes through a lot. He's willing to do whatever it takes to save Jessica and his baby, from Jason after he finds everything out. And
he can throw fists with broken fingers.
That's true. I was getting right to that. That he's got one of the best scenes in the whole movie. Two of my favorite things in this movie are him and Creighton Duke, and it's going to cost you a lot. What do you want? And he breaks two of his fingers, and then I like whenever he's like, when the last question he's asking, and Creighton Duke's like, now that is an expensive question. I love that scene, and then he gives it to him for free. But that, you got to admit, that scene in the jail cell with Creighton Duke, and the question I have about that scene also is when he calls his buddy Randy, who the Steven and Randy stuff is fun, all of it. There's not a lot of it, but I could have watched a whole movie of a buddy cop movie with Steven and Randy. I'll get more in that in a second. But did Creighton Duke tell him to do that, to take the gun away, to get out of there? And why didn't he let Creighton Duke out? Like he left Creighton Duke in jail. It's like, what the hell? The director intended Jason to be a product of the Necronomicon in his headcanon, not necessarily Deadite, but the Necronomicon was used to create or summon him. Okay, I'll take that.
Which could have been a possible explanation of how Jason survived drowning as a kid. That maybe Pamela used the book.
Use the net, yeah. So the weird thing is, like, Pamela had this nice life going, it looked like, before Jason. I mean, if that's the case, that house is a nice house. She had a daughter that she abandoned and left with Elias, and had a husband. But yes, Freddy versus Jason versus Ash. I'm gonna puke probably. No, I got burps coming. They ended up making a comic, and I have the comic. It's 4 issues, and I think there's a sequel to it also, but they obviously never made the movie. This movie was meant to set up the crossover. I'm seeing a lot of people from YouTube here. Subscribe, please. If you're not already subscribed, hit the subscribe button, hit the like button. You know what to do if you're watching on YouTube. We love having people come in and talk with us. Wait, was that the Creep Show crate down there too? That's a good eye. I didn't see that, but I'll look for the next time. Was it Fluffy? Is that the name of the thing in there? I can't remember.
I forget.
Lots going on in this movie. Adam Marcus, fan of the horror in general, it seems like, or that could just be K&B, which I would give that to them, even though I like Adam Marcus. Anyway, so what's good about this movie other than the Creighton Duke and
Well, I think it's got some fun characters in general. I really like I like Steven. I like Creighton Duke, obviously, but I also like Rusty Schwimmer's character there, Joey B or whatever, the owner of the restaurant.
Mm-hmm.
She always cracks me out, especially when she says, "Don't touch that little ray of fucking sunshine" or something.
Yeah. I love that. I love the elbow to the mouth too. That's good.
Yeah. Great death. And also her boyfriend or whatever he's supposed to be,
Pookie, I guess she called him Pookie a lot.
Yeah. So I think it's got fun characters.
Yeah,
I think that helps as well.
Yeah, and I think most of the characters are likable. Creighton Duke is the one of the standouts of that scene. He's talking to the Jessica's boyfriend about reminds me of a little girl in a pink dress putting a hot dog through a donut or whatever. I love that scene, and I posted it on Facebook to see if somebody would write that. I was like, "What does this picture remind you of?" And somebody did, and God bless them. Some other people said a shitty movie and other stuff like that, but that's what I was looking for. So I wanted to mention the scene where Jessica, she's driving with Steven, and it's right after she gets attacked by her fiance or whatever, and she kicks him out of the car and drives away, and then Randy comes back up, and Randy, he comes up and just punches him right in the face because Steven doesn't take him seriously, and they get in that little scuffle. And it reminds me of a buddy cop movie, and then Randy's like, "Get in the car." It's like, "No, fuck you, you get in the car." He's like, "But I got the gun." He's like, "I got a gun." And then they both point their guns at each other. I like that scene a lot.
Yeah.
Like I said, I could watch those two all day. And then when he finds out Jessica's at the police station, he gets cuffed and goes, and he does that great thing where he jumps over the handcuffs, which that looks damn near impossible.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. New Line bought the rights to Friday the 13th because eventually they were going to make a Freddy versus Jason movie, which took them 10 years. It's not bad. Underrated. Maybe not a good Friday the 13th. Yeah, I mean, this one falls near the end of my list. We're going to get to our ratings here in a few minutes. Since I heard that Friday the 13th and Jason character himself. I think that's damn near. So, hey, did you hear the news that Adrian King's going to be in that Crystal Lake show?
Yeah.
Yeah, and then Tom Savini's going to be working on it too. Does that give you any hope in that show?
I mean, I've been curious about it anyway.
What if Adrian King plays Mrs. Voorhees, Pamela?
That would be actually kind of cool.
I think that'd be awesome.
I was gonna say I don't really care that she's back, but
that
would be cool.
Yeah, as long as she's not playing herself, who died in 2 or whatever. I'll have a Jason. Yes, Absolutely. I wanted those, but she's taking all that fucking meat out of there. You got to get a double Jason burger in order to get all the meat. Dude. Yeah. I don't know what the dude's for. Yeah. So wouldn't that be great though? Adrian King playing freaking Mrs. Voorhees. Jesus, that would be brilliant. I hope that's where they're going. And I think Tom Savini is I think he's gonna play Jason this time. The kid Jason. With a nice mustache and everything. Anyway. So the end of the movie, we're gonna jump right to the end, is kind of ridiculous that Jessica and Steven can hold their own against this powerful, obviously steroid injected Jason Voorhees with the bloated head. Steven just like he's like the toughest guy that like Julius, a trained boxer, couldn't even keep up with Jason. And Steven is getting thrown around the jungle gym and all kinds of shit.
I feel like that should have been Creighton Duke in that fight.
I agree.
For one, Steven's fingers are broken. Just want to throw that out there.
Only two of them. Only two of them.
I've broken a finger before.
I have too.
Twice, the same finger.
Really?
Yeah. I don't know. I don't know how about his ability to make a fist, and
it's all about adrenaline, baby.
Yeah. But that I felt like that should have been Creighton Duke for the most part. I mean, I don't necessarily think that Steven should have died, but
no, being subdued or Jason fighting Duke, and because like you said earlier, Creighton Duke, I mean, he's such a cool character, but he kind of goes out in kind of a cheap way, and like one of the lamest deaths in the entire series, really. And he's one of the coolest characters in the series. I honestly, if I would rank the characters in all seriousness about the best characters, he'd be near the top with Tommy Jarvis, in my opinion. And that's it. Those are the only. Well, Trish. I think Trish is a really good character too. Well, there's a few. We'll go over that when we get to that ranking show. But let's see. We got more. I have a feeling Brian Fuller's going to knock it out of the park. They have the rights. Okay, yeah, to the Crystal Lake show. Yeah, I'm hoping as long as they keep like Jason and the hockey mask out of it, or just the hockey mask. Little kid Jason will be good. Freddy never got his. Freddy could work in space because he just invades people's dreams. So they have to know who he is. A Nightmare in Space. I'd watch that. I don't give a shit. So anyway, the ending, and then you get Jessica, getting the dagger mostly into his chest, and then he dies and gets pulled in by the worst looking hands of all time, going to hell. And then we get, of course, that great shot. And the weird thing is, like, I remember going to our mall, and there were these things that you could turn upside down, and it go, you know what I'm talking about? And they used them a lot in this movie. Even at the very beginning, it's like they found that toy, and they're like, hey, let's use this thing for some of the sound effects, and Jason goes to hell. It's like, what were they thinking? I don't know. Anyway, so overall, like, before we get to the little stinger, what did you think of the end of that movie? I mean, was this? It obviously wasn't the finale because we got Jason X and Freddy vs. Jason. What did you think, though? Was this a good way to kill Jason, or were you just kind of disappointed?
I mean, by the time it got to that point, I was already like, okay, whatever. They established this whole thing with the only a Voorhees can kill a Voorhees, the whole thing with the daggers. So, and I thought the fight between Steven and Jason was fun to watch.
Fun to watch for sure, but kind of like, how is he still alive?
Oh yeah, for sure. But like, it was entertaining enough, and it was just all about leading to the very, very end of the movie to live up to the title.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and then like I really didn't care for the hands pulling him in. I would have rather a portal or something like that. You know, have him sucked in, like kind of like Ash when he opened up the wrong Necronomicon. His face was getting stretched out, like pulling him in. Like there's a better way to do it than having these silly little hands and a puppet and all that stuff. Excuse me. But we did get that little stinger where Freddy's hand comes out and grabs the mask and pulls it under, which of course everybody knows that's Kane Hodder's hand. But yeah, I mean, this movie just kind of falls flat overall. There's some really weird stuff, like why the fuck did the Jason, the doctor guy, or the coroner have to shave the cop's mustache off? Like that was like super homoerotic, and I'm not sure if that's what they were trying to go for. But like seriously, what was the point of that? Do you have any idea? Because that's the thing I want. If I next time I talk to Adam Marcus, I gotta ask him, what the hell was with the shaving scene?
Well, I think he's probably adjusted that a lot.
I'm sure he has.
I think he did actually, because when I first got this DVD back in the day when it first came out,
yeah,
there's a audio commentary with Adam Marcus and one of the writers, Dean Lorey, and they're very humble about the whole movie, and about how they were kind of inexperienced, and you know, they seem to understand some of the flaws of it, and that they even said they don't know, it was just, I don't know, they just added it, and it's just weird too, because like a character previously that Jason possessed had a mustache, so
I know it makes no sense whatsoever. Like, I don't want this mustache anymore. It's bizarre they never made a sequel of Freddy vs. Jason. The movie was popular. It did make a lot of money. It's been about twice as long as The Wait Between Jason Goes to Hell. It's been 20 years, yeah. Freddy vs. Jason is 20 years old now.
Holy shit. I didn't even realize that.
Yeah. 2003.
Yeah. Wow.
I'll have to drink myself to sleep tonight. No.
That.
Yeah. I got sweet tea. All right. So now we're going to go ahead and come to the part of the show that's where we, do our scores, which we do every week. We do on this show, we do what we call a slash score, which is like a percentage. So we have these 10 categories, and it did have a great soundtrack, actually. It sure did.
Yeah.
We have these 10 categories. We pick a score of 1 to 10, add up the score, and come up with our percentage. And then I've also got the community score, which you guys are doing the 5-star reviews on our Facebook page. And that's how we get that score, and I'll get to that. But I do want to remind everybody we have a show on Wednesday next week, the Horror Syndicate Discourse, and here's our topic. Yeah, so next week we'll be talking about Ty West's X. We talked about Pearl last week, and we may as well finish up with X as we all anticipate the forthcoming third film, Maxine, and hope to get 2 more, one between Pearl and X, and one after Maxine. Is that what you said? Yeah.
Yeah.
So join us next Wednesday and subscribe to the Horror Syndicate, as we will be coming at you on Wednesdays with horror movies and Fridays with horror movies, unless you guys want us to move to Sundays. Again, let us know what you think, if we should do Friday nights or Sunday nights for this show, after we start A Nightmare on Elm Street, which is about a month away. Right? Was that right? We got 3 more weeks of this. Yeah, about a month.
Yeah.
We'll be doing the first Elm Street movie. So anyway, let's get to the slash scores. First up, as we always do, we'll go ahead and throw Seth's up there, especially since it's the highest. Seth, you gave this a 60%. So first of all, how drunk were you
I may have had one too many when I was doing my ranking.
Yeah,
But
maybe a few too
you
many.
know,
I don't know.
I gave it I gave it high scores for the kills
Yeah.
and the effects, um, above average for the cast and the production value, and even with entertainment too. Because, like I said, like I know it's a bad movie.
Hmm.
I know it's a really bad Friday 13th movie, but it's a movie that it doesn't offend me at all. Like, I don't watch it very often because I prefer the first 7 Paramount movies. But when
I
I
like
do
Paramount.
watch it, it is what it is, and I have fun with it. And I think the effects and the kills and some of the colorful characters are the big reasons behind why I can sit through it without vomiting in my own mouth.
Yeah, Isaiah gives it an 89%. That's really high. Okay, that's fine. Everybody likes everything differently. My score is 52%, which obviously every time we do one of these, just about my score is always lower. Even on my favorite, Jason Lives, I think I had the lower score. Same thing with me though. I gave it a higher score for entertainment value and effects. I gave it a 9 out of 10 for effects because man, that body melt scene is so good. And I do appreciate the makeup job they did. The only reason the effects in my mind don't get a 10 is that end with the hands coming up. That's just so corny looking. So because even some of those lighting effects at the end, whenever she stabs him, that's those are pretty cool. But especially for 93. But I really fucking hate those hands. Otherwise, I may have given this a 10 as far as the effects go. And the kills are fun. Kills got a decent score, and yeah, I mean, entertainment value is high on this one for me. I gave it a 7. So it's not high because I'm tougher on movies, I think, than some people. But I do enjoy Jason Goes to Hell to a point. It's a once a year for me, I'd say, no more than that. I for a long time I held a grudge against this movie because it's like the Freddy's Dead. It derailed the series, and if you think about it, uh, bad hands. If you think about it, it's kind of the Freddy's Dead of the series, and it's a standalone type movie, really, and that's fine. I've gotten over it. It's been 20, 30 years now. This is 30 years old, so deal with that. Uh, but yeah, it's one of the lesser ones for me. But between the two of us, it gets a 56% overall. So when we go to rank all the movies, this is 56%. Congratulations, Seth. It's all your fault.
I mean, you're way too low, so I'm way too generous. I don't know.
We'll meet in the middle, and that's what that is. Is our
Perfectly balanced as all things should be. How about
yes,
that?
perfectly balanced, like a good sword or a good knife, as Thanos would. A weird little knife too. But as I said earlier, we do that 5-star rating system on the Horror Syndicate's Facebook page, and anybody who goes to the Facebook page, you'll see we did Salem's Lot today in the 3 It movies, which I know one is a mini series or whatever, but we did all 3 of those today and Salem's Lot. So check those out and make sure you get your ratings in before the score becomes final. Because I've been writing them down the last couple days. Yes, madness. And here,
How's the Wolfman doing?
I haven't written that one down yet. Last time I checked, it was in the 80s. How about give me Elm Street movie.
What's that?
Give me name an Elm Street movie. I'll tell you what the audience score is or the community score is.
Dream Master.
Dream Master, 78%.
It's too low.
No, I think that's about right. Freddy's Dead got a 54 compared to this. So all's right in the world, in my opinion, because that's a fun cartoon. But yeah, so I'm doing all these up. Phantasm 2 has got a 79%.
Too low.
So I know you love that. Texas Chainsaw Massacre 2's got a 79%.
That's about right.
Jaws has a 90%, and we're going to do something fun because it came up again in conversation with somebody. Is Jaws a horror movie? I will post that later tonight, and I want everybody to chime in because it is unequivocally a horror film. Come on. Stop with this bullshit. It's one of the best films of all time, sure, but it is a horror film. So anyway, your scores based off the 5-star method, it gives Jason Goes to Hell a 46%. So 46%, I think that's pretty fair.
That's higher than I expected.
Really?
Well, I mean, I know that like almost everything is starting to get an audience, it's starting to get people. I've seen people defend this movie. But I know that it's been hated for so many years, so I was expecting way lower for the audience on that one.
And let's not forget, Jason Takes Manhattan now is at 68%, but it's got a 68% compared to the 46 as far as community scores go.
My brain just died.
Is it time for you to write an open letter to our followers? An open letter from Seth T. Miller.
No, because I think it's not them, it's me.
Oh, okay. Yeah, it's not you, it's me. So anyway, let's as we do on the Horror Syndicate Discourse, why don't we wrap up with some final thoughts on this madness of a look? What do you not like about this costume, this suit, this whatever?
I just don't like the overall design of Jason here at all. His head looks like a piece of popcorn. The mask. I know they seem like they're trying to go for the whole it's embedded into his head, but I just don't care for it. I mean, just his costume just seems very just minimal at best. It's especially coming off of, I mean, I don't really care for Jason Takes Manhattan, the look of Jason in that, as much as you do. But I mean, even like part 7, the way he looked in that was so cool.
Yeah, part 7 has the best overall makeup, in my opinion.
Yeah, this is just, I don't know.
I don't
know if they were still trying to go with some sort of continuity and say that Jason's head became a piece of popcorn because of the toxic waste that gets flushed through New York City. I don't know.
Well, so after he got flushed with the toxic waste, he grew back into a man baby, and his head grew around the mask. The thing that pisses me off though is they released this great 10 box set, and they used that. Of all of the fucking images of Jason they have, they used Jason Goes to Hell. It's like, what are you thinking right now? Why don't you use part 4? I mean, obviously, I'm a bigger fan of Jason Takes Manhattan. No, I like part 4 better than Jason Takes Manhattan. Jason Takes Manhattan, it would be my guilty pleasure of the series. I'll just put it that way. But like, I'm a bigger fan of Jason Lives. But like, obviously, I think the fan favorite overall is probably part 4, the final chapter. Why? And if you're using any kind of imagery for Jason, why wouldn't you use Ted White? Seth, why wouldn't you use Ted White?
Well, it's because of a couple of things, I think. One, Kane Hodder became a fan favorite.
Okay, use part 7.
Right. Well, here's another thing, though. What I've been saying for years, and Friday the 13th fans do not like this, but Sean Cunningham is the worst thing to happen to this franchise.
And he created the franchise with Victor Miller.
He started the first one as a way to just earn money to do a different
rip
movie.
Off of Halloween success. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. He bounced. He didn't have anything to do with like 2 through 8. You know, he offered his support, but he wasn't involved in it. And then he kind of came back to it with this movie, trying to cash in on the success of the character that he did not believe in. Okay,
get rid of that
'cause-
damn hockey mask.
right. I mean, it's been through multiple documentaries on the series where him and Victor Miller did not really care for the idea of Jason being the killer because they thought it took away from Pamela's motivation.
Even in this one, his
Yeah.
name is Jason.
Yeah, exactly. But he's, business wise, it makes sense. Hey, I need to pick up that series again and kind of cash in on it.
And then he became the brand, though. Like, this is the best one. I'm just showing off my collection, pimping out my collection today.
Yeah.
But yeah, like that's the thing they realize, and with this movie as a product, also a fan complaint in a way, right? People were like, "Oh, they're all the same," and I think that's the same thing with Jason Takes Manhattan. Is it's a product of what they need to do something different with the series. Well, what'd you think? Like, did you like it? I mean, the Friday the 13th movies are, if anything, simple and like formulaic. Is that right? Is that a word? That's the best way to say it. And as much as people may complain, I think it's a small minority. Like if you look at me, you, and Nate and Jared, we all love the Friday the 13th movies as a whole, but there's a minority who doesn't like them as much as me, you, and Jared, and that's Nathan. He likes them, he loves them, but he also, he doesn't want to. I think he said he doesn't want to see another one, and and they're all not good movies, which is true. But like, it's he could have been one like, oh, we need something different. Between me, that's one of the things I liked about this movie. Watching it today again for the first time in a year, probably, is watching that opening scene. I'm like, yeah, they're. I think Adam Marcus could have made a good Friday the 13th movie if given a Friday the 13th movie to make, but he got stuck with this one. So anybody who does blame Adam Marcus, please don't. It's all Sean Cunningham's fault, the creator. And if you are a Sean Cunningham lover, go watch House, which I love that movie. So he didn't even direct that anyway. The director of Friday the 13th 2 and 3 did, Steve Miner. Sean Cunningham is a worthless producer. Frank Mancuso Jr. is more of a champion of the Friday the 13th series than Sean Cunningham.
Fucking thank you.
You're welcome.
Fucking thank you. I've been saying that for years.
It's true. 100%.
Steve Miner and Frank Mancuso Jr., they made this series what it is.
Yep.
And they don't get enough respect for it. Everyone thinks of Sean Cunningham or Victor Miller.
Mm-hmm.
And no.
Nope.
Steve Miner and what's the writer's name? Ron Kearns.
Ron Kearns.
They came in and they did Friday the 13th better than Cunningham and Miller.
Yes, they did. Because Friday the 13th Part 2 is better. It's one of the top 3 or top 4 Friday the 13th movies, in my opinion.
100%.
And I think whenever we do our I bet you that'll be number 3. I haven't done the ratings yet, like put them all in order, but I think that'll be number 3 on our list, with Jason Lives and the final chapter being 1 and 2.
Yep.
But yeah, like if not for that movie, Sean Cunningham wouldn't have been making the money, because he did make money over the years. Like, I don't know why he complained with all the fucking all that drip he's getting, as my son would say. Sean Cunningham's kind of a piece of shit, in my opinion. So I don't like him at all. He's a piece of shit, and I think
it was him getting the rights back.
I like
that kind of dictated this. Here. It dictated this story. Like, we got this particular story because Cunningham wanted to get rid of Jason and the hockey mask. And I don't mind, like, I admire them for trying to do something different.
Mm-hmm.
To try to bring a different style to the series instead of doing the same old, but I think they went too far.
Yeah, I agree with you. When I went to the theater to see this, I was all jacked to see Jason, and we got him for they bookended the movie with Jason, and I remember watching it thinking, like, what is this movie? Is this how horror in the 90s is going to be? Yes, that was the answer. Horror in the 90s wasn't great. Anyway, let's recap real fast on our scores. Seth gave Jason Goes to Hell a 60%. I gave it the old 52, and that's a total, or not a total, but a combined score of 56% with the both of us and our pretty faces. Don't we look so happy? We look so happy there, don't we?
Yes.
Well, you're out in the woods. I'm in the horror room, so happy places.
Yeah.
The question is, does a Seth shit in the woods?
The world will never know.
I have. I'm not gonna lie about it. And then are you guys out there, you beautiful 31,000 who never watched this show, and those of you who do watch a show, you gave it a 46%. Keep telling your friends about the Horror Syndicate on Facebook. We've got so much more. We're doing articles on the horrorsyndicate.com. And then, of course, we do our videos every Wednesday and every Friday on horror movies, mostly. Next week, we're talking about X on the Horror Syndicate Discourse, and we are talking about Jason X. That'll be probably like a 12-minute show. So, so anyway, yeah. So
it's kind of funny. X and X. I don't know.
Oh yeah, I didn't think about that. Yeah, holy shit, that's fucking kismet. Thanks a lot, Matt. I appreciate that. Thanks for hanging out with us tonight. And seriously, let us know about Sunday or Friday, which one you guys like better. If Sunday's better for you guys, let us know, because we want to be here for you guys to watch the show and talk with us. Because believe it or not, when you comment, we enjoy that. I do. I don't know what Seth. Seth's kind of a, what are you?
An asshole.
It's classified.
No, I think you're definitely
an asshole.
An asshole.
Yeah. So anyway, we are done with the show for the night. We're going to wrap up with some final thoughts real fast, and then we're going to bounce out of here. Also, sorry for being late, but we had wicked bad storms. I'm not from Boston, but we had some really bad storms today that were like my power was blinking on and off and shit. So I wanted to wait till the storm passed before we did the show, and I wanted to make sure we got it in tonight. So, final thoughts, Seth.
Final thoughts. This movie is not one that I rewatch often, but I enjoy the effects. I enjoy the kills. I enjoy some of the characters, and I'll watch it. It doesn't offend me. Yeah, that's about it.
Yeah, same. Pretty much. I like the film for those exact reasons. The effects are really good. The kills are fun. I mean, when you got K&B doing your effects, you're in for some good effects in the movie. And then Steven and Creighton Duke really steal the show for this one, because Jason's just really not there. So we will be back next week with Jason X. And then we've got, should we do Freddy vs. Jason first or after the remake? I say first. What do you think?
I think we should do Freddy vs. Jason following the Elm Street series.
Oh, you're going to wait on that? Okay. No, I'm in.
It's more of an Elm Street film.
You had me at hello. We'll do, yeah. That'll culminate the whole thing. But the problem is, we still have to rate Freddy vs. Jason for the Friday the 13th movies. So should we just use our ratings and have it on there, and then talk about it after the Elm Street series? Is that what you're saying?
Yeah. Okay,
I'm in. You only have to say so much. You've already got me, Seth. You've got me. You're in here. Okay. Anyway, you guys have a great night. Have a great weekend. Watch horror. Be safe. And if you want, watch Jason X to get prepared for next week. And hey, you know what? If you can come up with a score like we come up with, we've got the categories are writing, direction, casting and acting is one, cinematography, editing, score, production design, kills, effects, and entertainment value. So those are the 10 categories that we rate on 1 through 10, one out of 10 in each category. Then we add it up, and there's your percentage. So you guys have a great weekend. We will see you on Wednesday with Nate and Jared for X. And yeah, that's our show. We'll see you next week.